What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be doing some in-depth technical analysis on Tesla stock and talk about what the technicals are essentially showing and what my price prediction is for Monday. I'm also going to talk about the overall stock market and how this can actually dictate Tesla as well for Monday, and what you should be looking out for when it comes to support, resistance levels, and where Tesla may end up going. Now, before I break any of this down, I got to note a couple of things. I'm not a financial planner. Don't take any of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the WeBull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for WeBull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed 6 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. Now, you could always sell these 6 free stocks for cash, whether it's for $100, $1,000, or $12,000, and you could buy some Tesla shares for free with that money. This is a limited time offer. It ends in just 4 days, so please check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So looking at Tesla, we're down about 9.22% for the day on Friday, and also we're a little bit red in the after hours. Now, when it comes to the market kind of moving like this, when we see the market kind of drop and actually fill these gaps down here, it's more probable we actually see a bit of a bounce, but calculating exactly where the bounce may come is where things can get a little bit tricky. So we need to talk about the overall market first and how this may affect Tesla first before we talk about what on earth Tesla could do. So if we zoom out and look at the macro perspective of the SPY, you'll notice that we've been respecting this upward trend for quite a bit of time. And I mean, we were at like the 380 range. We actually pushed really high up. We kind of like tested this trend line many times over. And recently we kind of did actually break below it, which could be looked at as a bearish signal. So there is the possibility we continue to see downside. But one thing that's good about the SPY, though, that I think a lot of people tend to forget is a long time ago, and by a long time ago, I mean like around the 2nd of June, you'll notice the support was at 406.94, and now the new support that actually held us up was 409. So the SPY is still making those higher lows, and it actually held up pretty darn well, in my opinion, compared to how much upside we had. So a little bit of downside isn't necessarily bad. Now, I hate to say this, but the SPY looks like it's kind of in a 55-45 zone right now. That means that I think that there's like a 55% chance we see green for the SPY and a 45% chance we see red. It could go either way, but I am leaning a little bit more towards the bullish side because we did hold support at 409. We also have this gap right here to the upside, and I do think that this bullish run is not necessarily over yet. I would like to see the SPY hit the 420s. I still think it could actually do that. And as for the NASDAQ, it's actually quite similar. So the NASDAQ isn't also in a very, very critical zone right now. If you go back right here, you'll notice this the NASDAQ, right? It has this gap right over here at around 11,790, right over there. Now, what's interesting is there were instances where the NASDAQ kind of wanted to fill that gap, but it ended up holding support at 11,900. It did not fill the gap. And recently, the support kind of went up to about 11,000, 966. So the support is starting to go up too. We also have this gap up here, so it is quite probable that we may actually fill the gap relatively soon. So for Tesla, what are we essentially seeing? What do I think is going to happen? Well, I need to talk about both the bullish and bearish possibilities. Now, one of the things that's good about Friday is 700 actually held us up. In the after hours, we are kind of down, but we're still at about exactly 700. So I would like to see 700 hold us up. Now, what's the more bullish and bearish possibilities? We need to talk about this real quick. So one of the things you're going to notice is Tesla has this tendency of getting that balance around that 680 range. So what I'm going to look out for is I want to see this thing either bounce off 700. If that doesn't hold us, this thing could drop to 680. And we really need to see a bounce right there. And I think we'll most likely see it. But if that doesn't happen, this thing is going to drop all the way down to the 650s. And if that doesn't hold us, we'll be back down to the 630s. So I wouldn't like to see that, and I think it's actually unlikely it drops that hard. But then again, the market's not in the perfect condition since there's a lot of talks about a recession. Also, Elon Musk said he's not too happy about the current state of the market or the economy, so to speak. So it's possible we actually see a drop, right? And I'm going to draw this out for you, but please note, this is not my prediction. This is just what is a possibility, okay? So one possibility you should be prepared for is, hypothetically, if Tesla starts dropping right to the 680 range when we open on Monday, if it pushes up, we want to see it hold and get a bounce and start pushing up. If it doesn't get that bounce, we're probably going to drop down to about the 650 range, and then we'll kind of continue from there. Not sure if that will hold us. It's even possible to go a little lower, but I find that less likely. So this is the more bearish possibility. And once again, I'm going to go over the bearish possibility, the bullish possibility, and then what my price prediction would be. Another more bullish possibility would be, because we have this gap right here. See how there's this gap that's most likely going to take Tesla back to that 776 range? It's possible that we're so oversold and that we actually just end up pushing up like this. We have some resistance in that 720 range. So perhaps within the next like 2 days or so, we slowly come closer to filling that gap. That's also a real possibility, in my opinion. We're going to approach it. We may not fill it in one day, but I just want to put it out there that that's the more bullish possibility. And I think it stops like around here. So what do I actually think is going to happen, right? So I showed you guys the more bullish possibility and the more bearish possibility. Well, for what I'm predicting though, is I think it is possible Tesla drops a little bit during the open, and I'm going to change the colors to make this easier to see. We might actually drop a little bit below 700 and get a nice bounce off 680, but I predict the market's going to get a bounce and Tesla's going to actually push up, and it's actually going to end up closing green and trying to push up. I think that we might have some resistance in that 720 range to 730. Probably going to trade a little bit sideways right there. We might manage to actually close around that 730. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually pull that off. Now, then again, anything is possible, but I do think that this one in the middle is the most likely possibility. And I am aiming a little bit more into the bullish side when it comes to my prediction. So this is like, I'm going to kind of color code these as which one is like more bullish, more bearish in my prediction. So the yellow line you're seeing, I think this is most likely what's going to happen. And once again, remember, if something doesn't go as planned, always look at the other possibilities. Okay, always be prepared for where support and resistance levels are. Support's at 680, 653, and then the 630 range. We have resistance at 720, 730, 752, 776, and 800. Now, from a more technical standpoint, we do have this big gap here, which is why I'm aiming a little bit more on the bullish side, which is why I'm predicting this yellow line right here. I do think Tesla might close around that 730, and I really hope we get that bounce. So I'm going to remain optimistic because as of right now, Tesla is still holding 700, and I do think it's looking all right. I don't think it's like necessarily bad. I can't necessarily say we're about to crash because it's not necessarily crashing just yet. But from another technical standpoint, we can see right over here. Let me actually pull this up on the 2 hour. What you'll see is we kind of got that 13, not the 13, the MACD flipping with the signal line, causing some bearish momentum that's perpetuating. And we're starting to see a bit of a curl right here. And this was as we approach that $700 level of support. So hopefully this holds up. And I do think that this should start to curl soon. And hopefully we get another flip right back up to the upside. RSI is kind of stagnant right here as we kind of held in that 700 range. You could see that it was at, what is this, 70 before? It was around the 70s. And recently it dropped down to that 41, 38 to 41 range. So RSI did drop a bit, but it's actually holding right here thanks to our support. Now, when it comes to EMAs, I also like to look at EMAs. We could use the 5-minute and look at the 1348 and 200 EMAs. You'll notice we got this crossover right over here. This is a bearish signal. And when we got the crossover after the news involving Elon Musk, the FUD from the media, Tesla dropped and dropped and dropped, but it's starting to curl. The 13 is curling, and we're getting close to this kind of like crossover right here. You can see it's getting closer. So it is possible we actually start to push up just a little bit. We get another crossover, and that would be a bullish signal. It's really hard for me to determine that right now because we'd have to see how we open up on Monday, what happens on Monday. But I am still aiming a little bit more on the bullish side. That's essentially what I'm predicting. And the last thing I want to look at, if I still have these, are the Bollingers. Let's see what this is actually showing. You could use the 5-minute for them. So what generally happens is when we have big moves to like the downside, kind of like this, you you see the balloon just kind of close up a little bit as we get closer to support, and we slowly kind of like curl right back up. So it's possible. I mean, this isn't the best way of looking at them, but it's possible. This is what we're seeing right here. They're getting tighter right here, and we might get a push up, and we might see an expansion followed by a breakout. So I'm hoping that the breakout's to the upside and not the downside, because either way is possible. But because of the big gap here, like I said before, I do think upside is a little bit more probable. Now, to end this video, okay, I want to note something. Sometimes predictions could be tricky considering the fact that Elon Musk can make an announcement unexpectedly at the last minute. Something unexpected could come. But given the fact that this is the last, essentially, week before we have the FOMC meeting, I would like to I would like to see us push up going into that, and I do think that's a little bit more probable, as I did predict that in previous videos. We also want to see how the CPI reports come out, but that's not necessarily on Monday, so we're not there just yet. So we'll have to wait and see first how this all plays out. And I'm aiming a little bit more for the bullish side because do think Tesla's a little bit oversold in a way. So hopefully we get that. With that out of the way, I want to thank each and every one of you for listening. Please have a fantastic rest of the day. Enjoy your weekend, and I will see you guys on the next one. Tesla to the moon, and peace out.